Hi everybody, thanks for joining me today. If this is your first time watching my show, my name is Lula and this is Garden Hauling. So in today's video, I am going to plant some corn, and the name of the corn I'm going to plant is called Jackpot. Jackpot corn is a corn that I plant nearly every season. I just love it. It's a mixture of white corn and sweet corn. Now, when I plant my corn, I like to start mine from seeds in seed trays. I've never had a problem planting my corn in seed trays. One of the reasons I like to start my corn in seed trays is because it just gives me more control over what's coming up in my garden. I just hate to plant corn or any crop and it doesn't germinate, and then I got these empty spots in my garden where I'm thinking my corn is supposed to be, but it just didn't germinate. So that's my reason for planting my corn in seed trays. I'm going to plant my corn in a raised bed container that I made out of pallets. So this is a single-use pallet that I use, and normally the single-use pallets are safe to use, but if you are going to use pallets, make sure that it does say that it is heat treated, because those are the ones that you will want to use. Some that are treated with a chemical called bromide, and you don't want to use that. If you don't feel comfortable using pallets, then don't use them. But if you are going to use the pallets, just be mindful that you want to make sure that they are not treated with any type of chemicals. So before I show you the corn that I started from seed and get started planting it, I want to talk a little bit about planting corn, because you want to make sure that you plant your corn at the right time. You don't want to plant it when the ground is still cold, because corn is a warm season crop. It's really a grass, so it's gonna like to have some sunshine. So you want to plant it when the soil temperature has warmed up, because if you plant it when the ground is still cold, then your seeds won't germinate. Corn loves to be planted in blocks. It's best because if you plant it in a single row, that your corn will not get pollinated like it should be. But if you plant it in blocks, your corn has a higher chance of getting pollinated. All the tassels and things that you see, the silks that you see on your corn, all of that is what's going to help form the kernels of your corn on your cobs. So if the tassels don't get any pollen or anything on them, the chances are high that when you get ready to open your ear of corn, that you may have some kernels missing, and you don't want that to happen. And it's recommended that you plant it in a 4x4 square. That's a good way to start if you want to plant corn. So now I'm going to show you the corn that I planted in my seed starting trays. So here's my corn that I planted in my seed trays. I planted 25 kernels of corn, just one in each cell. I had one that did not germinate, as you can see, so that left me with 24. But I will be planting more corn. So I have laid out my corn, 5 rows of corn. 4 rows have 5 seedlings, and 1 row has 4 seedlings. I am going to be planting more corn. I just like to stagger the plantings of my corn. My soil has already been amended with compost, and I mixed it up, but I am going to add some more compost to my hose before I plant my seedlings. So I'll just add a little bit of compost, and I'll also add some starter fertilizer. Planting corn is not hard to do. It is so easy. Once I make my hole, I normally like to plant my corn at soil level. And when I say soil level, I mean, let me show you. I mean right at the top of the plant, the seedling. So I will put it right there in the soil at that level. So I'm just going to add my compost. I'm going to add my starter fertilizer after I make my hose, and then I will just stir it up a little bit, because I don't want the fertilizer to damage the roots of my seedlings. Now, this soil has already been amended with compost, as I mentioned. You can also add any compost that you want. You just want to make sure that your compost is well aged and that it is fully broken down, because one thing about corn is they love nitrogen. And if you add compost that is not broken down or well aged, then it will break down while it is in the ground with your plants, with your seedlings, and it will take the nitrogen away from your seedlings because it is using it to finish breaking the compost down. And so your plants will suffer for that because they will turn yellow, and you don't want that to happen. So you see how easy it is to plant corn? So you can plant your corn anywhere from 3 to 6 inches apart in a confined space like this. Normally I plant them a little closer. Oh yeah, look, found an eggshell. I had made some homemade compost, and I added some of this compost into my soil here, as well as making my own soil mixture. And I did a video on how I make my own soil mixture, so I added it to this container and added some of my homemade compost that I had sitting in my compost bin for about a year now. Corn loves nitrogen, so you can get you a slow release fertilizer that you can add to your soil, a granular fertilizer, and that will give you some nitrogen that will be slowly released throughout the growing season. You can also mix up a batch of fish emulsion, which is high in nitrogen, and you can make it a regular routine to feed your corn with that. And you can add your own compost. And as I mentioned, you just want to make sure that it is fully broken down. So I kind of staggered my rows a little bit. I left some space, in between the plantings, as you can see. And you don't have to do it this way. I just normally do it that way. That way the plants won't be lined right up behind each other, but they will still be in a block. So I'm just going to make some more holes for my next group of plantings, and I am going to add my compost and my seed starting fertilizer. Now I think I'm going to put my camera in another area so that it can be more stabilized while I plant these plantings, and you can see how I finish planting the rest of them. So my corn is planted. I don't know if you can see it behind me. It is so bright out here, but it's planted, and so now all I got to do is give it some water, and I will keep you posted as to how well my corn is doing. I want to say thank you for joining me today. I also want to say thank you for all those who have subscribed to my channel. I really appreciate it, and I hope that you will continue to enjoy watching my channel. So if you haven't had a chance to subscribe to my channel, please click the subscribe button and click the notification bell and give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.